So, while dealing with the approaches of Mīmānsakas or Naiyayikas about the relationship between word and meaning, one thing was conspicuous, and that was the contextual factors which help determining the meaning of the word. Bhartrihari gives a list of contextual factors that determine the exact meaning of a word in the case of ambiguous and equivocal expressions. Word, as we have seen, that word doesn't have meaning in isolation. It carries a meaning in a context, it carries a meaning in a sentence. So, even sometimes this sentence also needs a context to understand its meaning, to know its meaning. So, there is a list, 14, Bharat enumerates 14 factors on which the relationship between word and meaning is based. The first factor is the contact or association. This is a connection that is generally known to exist between two things. For example, there is a phrase, long-legged crane. So, here the word crane normally means a bird or a machine. So, here the meaning of the ambiguous term crane is restricted to the senses of only a bird. Crane, that is the bird. Why? Because the association of long legs is applicable to crane, the bird. The crane the machine doesn't have long legs. So, this is how the association of long legs with the word that confirm the meaning that we are talking about the bird. Second context is dissociation. Dissociation is the absence of the connection that is known to exist between two things. For example, crane without legs. Earlier, it was long-legged crane, but now this time this is crane without legs. So, word crane normally means a bird, as already you know, and machine, two things are there. But here crane refers to the machine in the phrase. Why? Because crane is without legs. So, legs are not there. So, therefore, the absence of legs confirm that we are talking about the machine. Then, third association, the third contextual factor is companionship. Companionship, a mutual association. For example, in the expression Ram and Lakśṇā. Ram stands for so many persons. Ram can be Ram, Ram can be Balram, Ram can be Parshuram. Similarly, Lakśṇā also can be understood as bird. Or he can be understood as Rama's brother. But here, because of companionship, the expression Ram and Lakśṇā refers to Ram and Lakśṇā, this Dashrath's son. Lakśṇā is not the bird because it is because of the association. Ram is association. Ram has an association with Lakshmana or Lakshmana with Ram. So, here because of the companionship, we get the meaning. The fourth factor is opposition. It's a well-known hostility. It can also be explained as light and shadow. For example, in the expression Karna and Arjun, so we all know the relationship between Karna and Arjun. What is the relationship? The relationship is that of enmity. So, here Arjun refers only to the enemy of Karna, not to Arjun, the son of Kritvirya. Then fifth is your earth or prayojan, purpose. Speech is purposive in nature and the meanings must be explained in such a way as to serve the purpose. In the sentence, Sthanu bhaj bhavachet, that is, worship Sthanu for removing the shackles of worldly existence. Here the term Sthanu refers to Lord Shiva. It is also called as pillar, but here it is referred to Lord Shiva. So, here the intended object can be obtained only by worshipping Lord Shiva. Then we have Prakaran, context of situation or some episodes. There are two examples to explain Prakaran or the context of situation. One is your Devo Janati Shrawan. So, my Lord knows everything. Whether the word Dev means king or God is to be decided from the context. Whether we are talking about the God or about talking about the king. So, here we can understand its meaning if we know the context. Similarly, this word Sandhav. Sandhav means a salt and Sandhav means a horse also. So, if we know the context, then we can understand its meaning, and there, this context theory has given great prominence to the context as the basis of determining the meanings of expression, and it has been taken into consideration as the influence of non-verbal elements of situation, such as the social setting and the social background. So, everything is there. Sometimes, when somebody says call me a taxi, it also, you need to understand who is calling, where he is or she is. So, one phrase is impregnated with so many meanings. So, we need to understand the context of situation. Then next is link, that is indication. It's an indication from another place. So, there is a sentence, Akta Sharkara Upadhati, the pebbles are placed nearby. The meaning of the word Akta means that is wet. But this is not clear, since the pebbles could be made wet with many different liquids. But from another passage in the same context, Tejo Vai Ghritam, it's clarified that there is butter, there is a clarified butter, there is a buttermilk around. Thus, it is understood that pebbles are to be wet, soaked in buttermilk. Then we have Sannidhi, Shabd Sannidhi, the proximity of another word. It's the use of a word having a meaning logically connected with only one of the possible meanings of the ambiguous word. That is, if you see, there is a sentence, Devasya Purarate, of the god, the enemy of the Puras. Here the adjective god restricts the meaning of Purarati to the god Shiva. Otherwise, the word could have meant a king who destroyed cities. So, it's like, first theory of collocation, according to which a word is determined by its collocation with other words. In certain collocations, a word may have one meaning, in certain other collocations, a different meaning. Then, capacity is another contextual factor. It is capacity that is known from the result. For example, Madhu mas kokila, this is a sentence. So, cuckoo is intoxicated by madhu. What is this madhu here stand for? So, here the word madhu means spring season, not honey, since only the spring season has the power to intoxicate the cuckoo. You can't associate here with cuckoo honey. Next is Auchitya. Now we have a full-fledged theory of Auchitya in Sanskrit, literature, which has been propounded by Kshemendra in Auchitya Vichar Charcha. There is an episode in Othello when Desdemona and Emilia are talking. In the meanwhile, Othello comes there, who is unhappy with Desdemona, who suspects Desdemona to be disloyal. So, out of rage, Othello calls him a whore, abuses her and goes away. After some time, so Emilia and Desdemona are just there talking with one another, and Iago also comes here. Emilia's husband Iago comes there. So Emilia tells Iago that Othello has very rudely behaved with Desdemona, calling her to be a whore. After a pause, Desdemona then speaks and asks Iago, am I that? So here she doesn't use the word whore, she doesn't pronounce, because she is conscious about her status. It's her propriety that she shouldn't use this word. So such kind of, so say, am I that? So this is how, by using, understanding context, status and all, propriety also has to be taken into account for the meaning of a word. Then we have place. We also need to know the place in order to understand the meaning of a word. There is a sentence, Bhatiya Parmeshwar. Here shines Parmeshwar. The reference to a place here shows that by the term Parmeshwar is meant king, not the god Shiva. Then we have time. There is also the role of time also. This is a sentence, Chitra Bhanu. Chitra Bhanu Vibhatte Aso. Chitra Bhanu is now shining. If the reference is during daytime, the word Chitra Bhanu in the sentence means sun. But if the reference is at night, it means light of fire. Then Vyakti. Vyakti here means grammatical gender. Suppose there is a word Mitra, Mitram. In Sanskrit, Mitram means sun, Mitra. But when used in masculine gender, it is sun. But if it is used in neutral gender, then it becomes a friend. So Mitra also, friend also. So that is also, so on the basis of the gender, we can understand the meaning of the sentence, meaning of the word. And you know, these also play important role in poetry. This transposition of tense, case, number, person and all, we get the charm and beauty in a poetry. And the last contextual factor given by Bhartrihari is intonation, accent. That also plays an important role. Where the emphasis is. We have seen in the Vedas how they were recited, the hymns are recited, even day-to-day life, the meaning is changed. If I say, I go, the emphasis on I, it means it is I who is going, not anybody else. But when I say, I go to Patna, so Patna is the place. So place, emphasis on the place. So now somebody is going to Patna, nowhere else. So these are the contextual factors Bhartrihari enumerates, which determine the meaning of a word. Now, there are different ways also by which we may learn the meanings of words. And there are 8 methods used for learning the relation between words and the objects meant by them. So here we will have, so this is how we can learn the meaning of words. There are methods to learn the meanings of the words. And the first is Vridya Vyavahar, or uses of words by elders. This is the most important among all 8 methods and is the natural way of observation in actual life. According to Prabhakar school of Mimamsa, this is the only method of learning a language. It's only from sentence in the imperative mood that we can observe some kind of visible activity on the part of the listener. So, how imperative? So when I say, somebody call you, say, shut the door, get me a glass of water, please go, please inform him. So such kind of instructions or imperative sentences or moods are used, and from such instructions, such imperative moods, we get the meaning. you know, when there is a listener, there is a speaker, and there is an onlooker. So, when these three persons are there, so there the interaction, it could be passive interaction from one side, it could be an active interaction, but one learns from such kind of interaction. For example, A is talking to B, asking him or her something to do. So there is an onlooker C. So if A asks B to give me a pen, and he gives pen to the B, gives pen to the A. So C get the idea. There's some word, then one word is spoken which asks others to do, perform an activity, that is giving a pen. Then at third, maybe somewhere else, somebody says, get me a glass of water, or give me water. So then gradually one understands, oh, that's giving means that this is an instruction. Somebody asking to give him something. So this is how, so this kind of knowledge, Kumaril Bhatt says that this method has three different stages. It could be through direct perception, it could be through inference, and it could be through postulation. How it takes place? In direct perception, suppose a child hears the utterance of the speaker and sees the activity on the part of listener. Similarly, at the level of inference, the child infers from the listener's action that he has understood the meaning of this utterance. And at third level, that is postulation, the child knows that the activity of the listener is inexplicable except on the presumption of the relation existing between utterance and the meaning. So these are three stages Kumaril Bhatt talks about, through which a child gets the meaning. Then the second method, Aptvakya, direct statement of a trustworthy authority. One knows, one who is the master, one who understands things. So by any statement given by a worthy authority also makes us understand the meaning of a word. In this case, the learning is conscious and deliberate. When parents or other relations directly points out with the finger the various persons and objects and say to the child, this is your father, this is your mother, this is your brother, or your brother eating food. So the child can understand the relationship. The relationship between the word and the persons or the object denoted by them. We may also know the meanings of certain words when an authority tells us that such and such words denote such and such objects. Then next method is Vyakaran. Vyakaran, it includes your tense, case, person, gender. It includes also some lexical items. So we can learn meanings of the roots, suffixes, derivatives from the grammar. I say visit, visited, visitor. So through roots, suffixes also we understand this meaning. You know, there is a poem, To a Skylark. To a Skylark, and there a scholar singing a song. A writer doesn't know the place from where it's singing. Shelley is trying to know the exact location of the bird. So he used word deflowered, embowered, like a poet in the light of thought, like a glowworm golden, like a high-born maiden. Number of things are there. Number of similes are there to know the exact location. There he uses the word deflowered. Where? So, what is a flower? The word is flower, then suffix and prefixes are used, then there embowered. Embowered, what is there? Like a high-born maiden, embowered. So, the way high-born maiden is hidden, is there, he is there in the bower, but unseen. Her presence is felt. Similarly, Shelley says that skylark is not seen, skylark is unseen, but its presence is felt by its song. The way high-born maiden is there, hidden, not seen, but her presence is felt by others. So here, with the help of grammar, if we make an analysis of the word, its root, its suffixes, its prefixes, derivatives, then we know the meanings. Similarly, the phrasal organization, the use of compound words, small compound words or long compound words, we can understand. So this is how we can help. This grammar can help us give the meaning. Then next method is what? Upaman, analogy. A man who does not know what an ox is, then he needs to know, or he needs to be given a kind of details. Suppose he goes to the forest, and before going to the forest, he is given a description that the ox is like a cow. So as soon as ox is there before him, he can compare with cow, and then he can confirm it. Oh yes, this could be an ox. So this method of knowing is considered by the Mimamsakas and the Naiyayikas as a praman or a means of knowledge. This is entirely different from perception and inference. It is one of the means of our knowledge about the relation between words and their meanings. So the identification of herbs and plants from known description come under Upaman. Then next method is Kosh. It's a lexical item. Kuntak also talks about all lexical items as usage, transference, adjective, verb, pronouns, where we can understand the meaning of understanding them. So after these methods, we have certain other context. and there we have like Vakashesh, we have that is your the rest of the passage in the context. We have Vivritti, explanation, we have Siddhapad, Sanidhya. What is this Vakashesh? Vakashesh means when we have the information, half information is there in the sentence, but we can understand its meaning if we know the whole passage. Gemini says that when there is a doubt about the meaning of a word, the rest of the passage should be taken into account. For example, in the Vedic sentence there is a Aktaha Sharkara Upadhati, that is, the wet pebbles are placed nearby. So now the meaning of the term Akta, that is wet, is to be understood from the rest of the passage. When say the pebbles are wet, how they are wet, which liquid is there, we do not know. But as soon as we move further and we get to know the passage, Tejo vai Ghritam, so we come to know that we are talking about buttermilk, and from this it is known that pebbles are to be soaked in clarified butter, in buttermilk. So this method may be used in obtaining the correct meaning of a word. The next is your Vivritti or explanation. Here sometimes we use synonyms in order to explain one thing. Sometimes it is also in the form of commentary, sometimes in the form of the repetition of the words, repetition of synonyms. There is a poem of Shakespeare where we get this method, where the writer uses repetition, synonyms, in order to understand or in order to explain the meaning of the word, the meaning of the context, the meaning of the passage. When he says, what is more gentle than a word in summer? What is more soothing than the pretty hammer that stays one moment in an open flower and budges cheerily from bough to bough? What is more tranquil than a musk rose blowing in a green island far from all men of knowing? More helpful than the leafness of dales, more secrets than a nest of nightingale, more serene than Cordelia's discountenance, more full of visions than a high romance. What but the sleep? So sleep is there. Sleep has been explained by the use of synonyms, by the emphasis of particular set of words, and there in the end we know it's about sleep. Here then we have a Siddhapad Sanidhya, or the syntactic connection with words. Here in the sentence, there is a, already we have used one word where the pig sings beautifully in this mango tree. The pig sings beautifully on this mango tree. So, pig means here cuckoo. So, pig is known to be cuckoo from the presence of the other well known words. So, association or the syntactic connection with words is also very important category, very important method to understand its meaning. Now, we have some other classification of words, and these classification of words includes yogic or derivative, root or conventional, yog root, derivative conventional, or yogic root, derivative or conventional. So, these are 4 kinds of classification of words. They also help understand the relationship between word and meaning. So, let us see their examples. First is your yogic or derivative. When a word retains the signification which belongs to it according to the etymology, it is called yogic or derivative. Its meaning is determined by those of its component parts, as it does not signify anything more or less than the meanings of its part. For example, I gave this example earlier also. This is from Skylark. So, when the writer or Shelley is not, he is trying to give exact place, location of a bird from where it's singing, Skylark singing. So, he says, like a rose embowered in its own green leaves, by warm wind deflowered till the scent it gives. Like a rose embowered. So, the way rose is hidden, concealed in its own green leaves, this skylark is also hidden by warm wind deflowered till the scent it gives. So, as flower, here what is happening here? Embowered and deflowered there. The derivatives of the words, if you know the flower, embowered comes from the word bower, deflowered comes from the word flower. So, by derivatives or by their conventional meanings, we can understand meaning, and we can also have into account the context, and this is how we can understand when we are talking about skylark, how it is singing. That in order to know the location of the bird, here prefix or suffix have been used. So, this kind of derivation help us classifying the words which are known as yogic. So, here what happens, the meaning of the word is known from the verbal root. Here in the present context, the verb root is bowered, and the prefixes am and suffixes ed, so signifying the agent of action, both of them. So thus meanings of such words can easily be understood from grammar and etymology. The second classification is your rude, conventional. When a word has a meaning which is not yet directly connected with the derivation, it is called rude, conventional. In this case, the meaning of the word is not determined by the whole word independently of the part meanings. Underivable simple words belong to this class. For example, somebody calls, oh, he is a guru. So, conventionally, the guru has some other meaning. Or if etymologically, if we try to have the meaning of guru, it's something very sacred. But in usage, in conventional meaning, it has its meaning has become perverted. Similarly, call me a taxi. It's simple, just to call a taxi, it's an instruction, but it's suggestive of something else. So this is this is how we use a word also puts a particular word in a particular category. Then the third category of word is yoga rude. It's a derivative and conventional, both. When the meaning determined by the whole word taken together agrees with that determined by the parts, it is called yoga rude. Here the derivative meaning and the conventional meaning coincide and refer to the same object. Thus, it's partly derivative and partly conventional. So anywhere we have been some word which can be the meaning of which can be understood through derivation and convention. Then we have we have then derivative, conventional. So this is how, on the basis of both convention and derivation, we can classify the word. The fourth category now, that is your yogic rude. Here, so we were talking about the yoga rude. In yoga rude, there is a word pankaj. So pankaj, conventionally, the meaning of the word is lotus. We all know. But etymologically, it means what grows in the mud is also applicable to it. So here, the derivative conventional, it has through derivation and convention, the both refers to lotus. Now next is your yogic root. So what difference between yoga root and yogic root? In yoga root we have both derivative and conventional. Both suggest meaning, both confirm the meaning, category of the word. But here yogic root either is derivative or conventional. This is the basic difference. In yoga root, both derivation and conventional, both approaches are there. But here only one is allowed, one is used, either it's derivative or conventional. It is also referred to as root yogic. So when the meaning of the word can be ascertained either etymologically or from the meanings of its component parts, or conventionally from the usage by the whole word taken together, then we call it as yogic root. Earlier in yoga root was there, both were allowed, derivation also and convention also. But here only one, either derivative or conventional. So here both meanings are determined independently of each other and are understood separately. But earlier they were not separately. Both the approaches, derivational and conventional, referring to the same object. Here the meanings are different. The same word gives one meaning when taken in its conventional sense and quite another if viewed as a derivative. For example, there is a word ashwagandha. So meaning is, so ashwagandha, it's a name of a tree, it's a medicinal plant. But here ashwagandha also means etymologically a sense of having the smell of a horse. So it is also used popularly as a name of a particular plant. Both we can, so it is used etymologically, it is for horse, and conventionally for medicine, for a plant, for a tree. So this is how we have both yogic and root approach. Now we come to, we have now word powers, We had discussed Lakśṇā, Abhidhā, primary meaning. We have then the contextual factors, then the classification of words, methods. Now we have second word power or word Shabd Shakti, that is Lakśṇā or metaphorical meaning. Metaphorical meaning or the theory of metaphorical meaning as given by Mīmaṁsakas and Nyayikas. That is called it's called Lakśṇā, Upchar, Guni, Vritti or Bhakti. Sometimes a word is used to denote a referent other than its normal one. Such metaphoric usage is common in all language. We in our day-to-day life, we speak, pronounce a word, but it carries, its meaning is not normal, its meaning is not primary. It has some different meaning. So such metaphorical usages is very common. If we take the words as denoting its normal primary meaning, this sentence may become nonsensical in the context. So we cannot accept its primary meaning because that is nonsensical, that is irrelevant. So we need to understand its intention of the speaker. So now the actual referent of the word has to be taken as different from its normal one, then only we can understand. So, this function of the word denoting a referent different from its normal and primary one is called Lakśṇā. This is called Upcha, Guni, Vritti or Bhakti. The scholars, the aestheticians, they accept three essential conditions in Lakśṇā or the transfer of meaning. The first is the inapplicability or the unsuitability of the primary meaning in the context. We speak a word, sentence is not relevant there, it's not applicable, not suitable, or some relation between the primary and the actual referent of the word is there, or there is a sanction for the transformed sense, a transferred sense by the popular usage, or a definite motive justifying the transfer. So, these are three necessary conditions accepted by the statisticians in order to transfer, in order to, or in the case of Lakśṇā. Let us say, take an example, a very popular, definite popular sentence or example given from Sanskrit, that is Gangayam Ghosha, that village is on the Ganges. So, if we accept here the village is on the Ganges, its primary meaning, then it becomes nonsensical. The village cannot be placed on the Ganges. Cannot be placed on the Ganges means it's water. So, on the water, how house can be or village can be possible. So, it's nonsensical. So, then we need to understand its meaning, that I think this is the bank of the Ganga. So, when we accept it as the bank of the river Ganga, then there the meaning is clear. Then the relation between the normal meaning of the word and its actual meaning is one of the proximity. So, through proximity we understand its meaning. There is one more example, even in Julius Caesar, when Antony is addressing the Romans, in order to tell them that Julius Caesar has been murdered by a conspiracy in which Brutus was also involved. But because Brutus has a long following, a great following there in Rome, so directly Antony had apprehension that people could revolt, people could not believe him. So, he, in a secondary sense, in the form of Lakśṇā, he starts talking to them. He says that Brutus is an honorable man. He is giving his speech, long speech, and using the sentence, and Brutus is an honorable man. So, this repetition unfolds that there is something black, that Brutus is not as honorable as he seems to be. And then he makes others understand that Brutus is responsible, he is involved in the murder of Julius Caesar. Now, there are some secondary functions which have been given by Gautam in his Nyaya Sutras. let us see them. There are certain examples that how this relationship work between novel and the actual meaning in a transfer. Gautam in his Nyaya Sutra applies the term upchar to the secondary function of words, that is your Lakśṇā. He says that such a transfer of meaning is quite common when actual referent is closely related to normal and primary referent, and he enumerates with examples 10 such relations. What are those 10 relations with the help of which he tries to unfolds that relationship, the transfer? The first is association. That association also sometimes unfold that relationship, that meaning. Suppose there is a sentence, yastikam bhojya. Yastikam bhoj means feed the stick. This is an imperative sentence. Feed the stick. So in this sentence, Brahmin is referred to as stick, yastikam, and he is always associated with a stick which he carries. And another example of same relationship is the use of the term kunta, lenses, for the lens bearers. In the sentence, kunta pravishtani, kunta pravishyanti. So the lenses enter, specs enter. So here specs do not enter. Specs means one who is wearing the glasses, or the stick, feed the stick, but one who carries the stick. So here stick stands for Brahmins, and the lenses stand for one who is wearing those lenses. So this is because this is the association. So with the help, so this association also clarifies the meaning. The next is then location. The manch kroshanti. Mancha kroshanti. The coats dry. So here the term manch, coat, manch is a coat, is used to refer to the children on the coat. Then we have purpose. Katam karoti. Katam karoti, he makes a mat. So sentence means he collects reeds for the purpose of making a mat. Here the reeds intended for making a mat are referred to as a mat. Similarly, then we have a behavior. Yamo Raja. The king is the god of death. Here the term Yam, god of death, is used in the sense of one who acts like Yam. So that's why he is for God. Then we have measure. Here, so one adhak of floor. One adhak, here the term adhak denoting the measure is used to mean that which is measured. Then we have weighing, tula chandanam, 1 tula of chandan. So here tula is used in the sense of that which is weighed in the balance. Then proximity, Gangayam, Ghoshayam, already had given you this, that how it is in the sense of the bank of the Ganges, not on the Ganges, not on the waters. Then we have inferent connection. That is your Lakśṇā Satkaha, the black cloth. The word black primarily means the blackness, but it means the thing having blackness. So the use of the term denoting the quality of the thing qualified, that is, I love beauty, comes under this. And then there is a cause, annam prana. Food is life. So here food is the cause of life, referred to as life. Then prominence, ayam kulam, he is the family. That means that kul is used in the sense of the prominent person in the family. So he is my life, he is my house, he is my soul. That's all the prominence. This is a very, in Indian aesthetics, Acharya Bharat says, Ras is the soul of a composition. Bhama says, the Alankar is the soul of a composition. Then your Vaman says, it's the Riti, which is the soul of a composition. Then your Anandvardhan says, it's Dhvani, which is the soul of a composition. So this is how, so when it says soul, here it means the prominence. So when we are similarly, the Kuntak says, Vakrokti Jivitam. So Vakrita, oblique use of language is life. So that means life. So prominence. So prominence is also an important factor. Now we come to the next one, that is third word power, that is Dhvani. Which we call Vyanjana. And you all know there are 6 important theories. Ras theory, we have Alankar theory, we have Riti theory, and the 4th is Dhvani theory, theory of suggestion or suggested meaning. Other theories are theory of Vakrokti and Auchit. 6 theories. So Dhvani theory is one of the 6 important theories. Here in India, so and this Dhvani theory is based on both Abhidhā and Lakśṇā. We have seen how the theory of literal meaning, theory of metaphorical meaning, they were developed by Mīmānsakas, Naiyayikas in ancient India, but further it was extended by Anandvardhan in his treatise Dhvanyalok in 9th century. The idea of this Dhvani theory was not taken from Mīmānsakas or Naiyayikas. Rather, Anandvardhan took a cue from Bhartrhari when he was talking about his fort. When he was emphasizing the importance of taking the whole utterance as a significant unitary linguistic symbol. Bhartrhari had shown that the meaning of an utterance depends on contextual factors. I had already talked about, and that the logical interpretation of the sentence meaning on the basis of the individual word meanings. Then he says that at times meaning of the whole utterance is different from what the individual words indicate. That is very important. He was talking about the contextual factors. So meaning not direct all every time. Even it is not indirect. So sometimes from direct and indirect also we need to understand that meaning lies somewhere else. Anandvardhan took cue from Bhartrihari and developed the theory of language on the lines suggested by him. But since he was concerned only with the question of literary appreciation, he did not proceed with the full discussion of all the intricate problems concerned with speech activity, which Bhartrihari was doing. Anandvardhan confined his attention to his own field of poetic meaning, literary meaning. So, his concern is only how meaning takes place in a literary competition. But this was not only for the first time given by Bhartrihari, such references we have in the Vedas also. In the Vedas, the sages understood the fact that the literal meaning of an utterance is only a part of its total meaning. Literal meaning is not complete at all. They also say that those who try to analyze the literal meaning may completely lose sight of the real significance of a speech. So, what we speak, what we utter, that doesn't convey exactly the complete meaning if we take up the primary meaning. So, one of the well-known hymns of the Rigvedic distinguishes between the man who understands only the literal meaning of a poem and the man who looks more into the inner significance of the passage than to the meanings of the words therein. So, that is very important here. And they are, even if you see the recitations, the artificial recitations are there, the what you call modified or natural. When they are talking about the emphasis, talking about pronunciation, talking about intonation, talking about accent, so just a small accent changes the meaning. So, in order to understand the complete meaning, we should understand other things also, because meaning lies somewhere else, and that is suggested meaning. But it does not mean that Anandvardhan does not accept what the Mimamsakas had talked about, what the Naiyayikas had talked about, what Bhartrihari had talked about. He accepts them all. He doesn't attack the usual division of speech utterances into sentences and words, into stems and suffixes, and the distinction between the primary and the transferred or metaphorical sense of words, Abhidhā and Lakśṇā. He accepts all these. Yes, but he does not accept only one thing, that was rather he replaces. Kumaril Bhatt added third power, that was Tatparya. He replaces Tatparya with Vyanjana. So, third potency of language for him is Vyanjana, which has the capacity to suggest a meaning other than its literal meaning. And this is what he calls the suggestive power of language, that is Vyanjana, that is Dhvani. He has classified on the basis of this primary meaning, that is Abhidhā, and metaphorical meaning, that is Lakśṇā. So, on the basis of Abhidhā and Lakśṇā, he has propounded his theory of Dhvani, and accordingly he has broadly divided his Dhvani theory into two types: Avivakshit Vachya Dhvani. Avivakshit means unintentional, when he does not have an intention, when the speaker does not have an intention, that is avivakshit. Vivaksha here means intention, dhvani suggested meaning. So, when the speaker does not have the intention of conveying primary meaning, then it becomes avivakshit vachya dhvani. So, intentional, what is the intention? Intention is to convey suggestive meaning, not the primary meaning, that is avivakshit vachya dhvani. So, because here literal meaning is not intended, and here I repeat the same example already given to you from Julius Caesar, when Antonio is addressing the Romans, he wanted to tell them about Brutus and Cassius and other conspirators, but he had apprehension because they have a following in Rome. So, he say they, Brutus, Cassius and other, referring to them, Brutus, Cassius and other conspirators, he says they are honorable men and Brutus is an honorable man. The scene is Julius Caesar has been murdered, Brutus, Cassius and others has the conspiracy of his murder. It is the same Brutus who was a close and intimate friend of Caesar once, but they misguided the people and won their confidence. Antony, a friend of Caesar, is addressing the hostile audience. He intends to expose Brutus, so in the beginning he does not speak against Brutus, clearly saying that he is the main person, he is a culprit, he is the conspirator. But later, when he has the mob on his side, he changes his time, he changes his tune, changes his way of telling things, and then he made the statement, Brutus is an honorable man. So, here primary meaning of Brutus is an honorable man is that Brutus commands respect. This is the primary meaning, but this is not the intention of Antony. So, what is secondary meaning? Secondary meaning is Brutus is not an honorable meaning, but this alone is not the purpose of using the word that he is not an honorable. Here Shakespeare could very well use the expression Brutus is not an honorable man, rather he is a dishonorable man. So, the preference for using the particular expression implies that the writer meant something more. He does not only want to say that this is dishonorable, this is not honorable. So, he wants to give something more, something very serious. So, Antony does not have intention to convey primary meaning here. The statement suggests not only dishonor, but also the ungratefulness and treachery which are associated with Brutus. So, this tertiary or suggested meaning is brought out by the power of Vyanjana, which is identical with Dhvani. Then there is a second type of Dhvani which is based on Abhidhā, primary meaning, or literary meaning, literal meaning. First, just I give the dimension was based on metaphorical meaning, secondary meaning. Now, here we now have the second type of Dhvani is based on literal meaning, and this is known as Vivakshit Vachya Dhvani. So, word Vivaksha is here very important in the theory of Dhvani, in the theory of Dhvani given by Anandvardhan. Vivakshit Vachya, when it is Vivakshit Vachya Dhvani, so here the intention is to give primary meaning, but a speaker gets suggested meaning. There is a difference. In a Vivakshit Vachya Dhvani, the intention of the speaker was not to give primary meaning. His intention was to give suggested meaning. But here what happens? Vivakshit Vachya Dhvani or literal meaning, where here the intention is to give primary meaning, but a speaker gets suggested meaning. Let us explain it by an example from Julius Caesar itself. There is a dialogue between Brutus and Lucius. Lucius is the servant of Brutus. Brutus is walking in the garden, and he is hatching a plan how to murder Julius Caesar, how to eliminate him. In the meanwhile, he calls Lucius and asks him, "Get me a taper in my study, Lucius. When it is lighted, come and call me here." Lucius, after some time, enters and says, "The taper burneth in your closet, sir, searching the window for a flint." So here, Brutus and Lucius they are simply, one is commanding and the other is following the commands. Brutus simply asks, "Get me taper," and Lucius simply just tells him, "Sir, that taper burneth in your closet." So, taper burneth in your taper is a candle. Candle is burning in your closet. So, here searching the window for a flint. So, here simply he simply tells him that that candle is burning in your study. Although the statement has intention of conveying primary meaning, that candle is burning in the study, yet it says something more suggestively. It suggests the sick condition of Brutus' sick heart, in which there is a conflict over the issue of hatching a conspiracy of Caesar's murder. Here, the vachyarth, the literal meaning, burning of taper, is intentional and bears a concealed intention to show Brutus' sick heart. So, it's a reminder of the conspiracy that Brutus is hatching against Caesar. It also shows the conflict in Brutus over the issue of hatching a conspiracy to murder Caesar. What is happening here? The intention of Lucius is not to give any suggested meaning. He is not there to unfold the concealed sick heart of Brutus. He is a servant. He simply informs, but reader gets the reader gets to know that here intention is something else. Reader immediate comes to know that Brutus is hatching a plan. Brutus is not at ease, and Brutus is also not honorable or dishonorable, rather ungrateful. So, all these things in these two types, they are, then we have further of division of this Avivakshit Vachya Dhani. We have Ras Dhani, we have Alankar Dhani and Vastu Dhani. So, we will deal with them in detail in next session. But here, so these two kinds of dhani, two kinds of suggestion meaning, they are the basis of dhani. And in both of them, one thing again is very important on which I would like to focus and emphasize, that is vivaksha, that is your intention. So, in avivakshit vajadhani and vivakshit vajadhani, intention is the common denominator. In one, there is an intention of conveying primary meaning, but reader gets secondary meaning, and in the other, the intention is not to give primary meaning, rather to suggested meaning. So, this is how the centrality of language, which started with the recitation of the Vedas, which changed then into some concerns about the language, where the sages talk about the creation of a space, the body, the linguistic forms suggestively. Then there was a stage when in the hymns there was a reference to a speech, four kinds of speech, para, paschanti, madhyama, vaikhari, and then we had approaches to meaning or the relationship based on the fact that some of them, Mimamsakas and the Nayakas, they accepted word is real, while others accepted words unreal, and they also talked about their relationship, meaning conventional approach, natural approach. Then they talked about the approach to the meaning. Then next stage came where Mīmānsakas and Naiyayikas talked about literal meaning, they talked about metaphorical, secondary meaning. And this is now then through Bhartrhari in the 10th century, we could have a full-fledged theory of language, full-fledged theory of meaning, where Anandavardhan, accepting the Lakśṇā, word power or the literal meaning, then secondary meaning, that is your Lakśṇā, propounded his theory of dhvani, saying that it is the suggested meaning, suggestive power, where the complete meaning of a word lies. So this is how we can conclude that we had a very systematic approach in our Indian systems towards language, towards meaning, towards life and literature. So I think this is all about the centrality of language in our Indian tradition. Thank you very much.